You're listening to EchoZone FM, a transmission from the thresholds of reality. Stories where the line between truth and illusion begins to fade. Tonight, we open the signal again. Welcome to EchoZone FM. Today's signal drifts in from a quiet town on the edge of something unseen, where time feels uncertain, and the silence hums just a little too loud. In episode 1 of The Never-Ending Night, Mara Jennings opens her eyes to a world no longer aligned with the ordinary. A journalist chasing answers, a town caught between days, and somewhere out there, something is waiting. The story begins now.
The Never-Ending Night, Part 1. Chapter 1. The Longest Night. In the quaint town of Eldridge, nestled between the embrace of ancient forests and the whisper of a meandering river, the dawn was always a spectacle. On any regular day, hues of pink and gold would burst across the sky as the town awoke to the familiar comfort of the sun's warm embrace. But today was different. Today there was no dawn. Mara Jennings, Eldridge's most tenacious journalist, found herself roused from sleep not by the chirping of birds or the sun's gentle nudge, but by the insistent ringing of her phone. Groggily she reached for it, her eyes squinting at the bright screen in the uncharacteristic darkness of her bedroom. "Jennings," she answered, her voice tinged with the remnants of sleep. "Have you seen it, Mara?" It was Tom, the editor of the Eldridge Herald. His voice, usually calm and measured, carried an edge of urgency. "Seen what?" she asked, pulling herself up to sit on the edge of her bed. "The sun, Mara. It hasn't risen." A chill ran down Mara's spine. She quickly moved to her window, pushing the curtains aside. The world outside lay in a silent, eerie twilight, a surreal half-light that belonged neither to day nor night. "How long?" she asked, her mind already racing through the possibilities. "Hours. It should have been up by 6:15. It's past 8 now." Mara's journalistic instincts kicked in. "I'm on it," she said, already thinking of her next steps. She hung up and hurriedly got dressed, her mind buzzing with questions. Was it a natural phenomenon, a scientific anomaly, or something more sinister? Downstairs, the coffee machine sputtered to life. The familiar scent gave her a moment of false comfort until she noticed the digital clock on the microwave blinking. 3:07. She frowned. Her tablet still read 7:13, her phone 7:13, but the wall clock had stopped altogether. 3 devices, 3 different times. She felt the air shift in her chest like static pressure building. Outside, Eldridge was oddly still, houses with porch lights still on, a dog barking at nothing. A few figures shuffled out onto lawns or peered through curtains, uncertain. Street lamps flickered, not off, not on, caught in some kind of loop. She stepped onto her porch. A neighbour called over the hedge. "You seeing this too?" Mara nodded. "What time is it for you?" He checked his watch. "Says 6:58, but I swear it's been that for 15 minutes. She didn't answer, just pulled her coat tighter and got in her car. Chapter 2. Static in the Wires. At the Eldridge Chronicle office, the power was stable, but the monitors flickered with an irregular hum. Her email inbox was already buzzing, residents reporting their own anomalies, missing time, silent alarms, a grocery delivery that arrived with no driver. Mara typed quickly, creating a timeline. First reports around 6:40 a.m. No sunrise, no confirmed cause. She added a note. Check power grid. Cross-reference solar flare activity. Then she paused. Every few minutes, a subtle hum came through the building. Barely perceptible. Almost like feedback from an old radio left on too long. No one else seemed to notice. By mid-afternoon, the town felt unmoored from its own schedule. Schools were closed. Local officials gave a vague statement about an astronomical anomaly, but they didn't seem convinced themselves. Mara drove to the edge of town, where the power grid interface met the old rail line, an aging substation flanked by rusted fencing and a sagging utility shack. The place thrummed with faint electrical life, steady and low like a heart too tired to race. A few town officials were already on site, bundled in jackets, huddled over equipment readouts with furrowed brows and clipped words. "Anything unusual?" Mara asked, flashing her press badge. One of them, a man she recognized from zoning meetings, shook his head. "Nothing we can find. Power loads are stable, no disruptions, but..." He hesitated. "It doesn't feel right. Like the grid's fine, but something else isn't." Mara thanked them and stepped away, drawn toward the fog-draped tree line beyond the clearing. There, standing just past the edge of the utility zone, was an older man, stooped, wrapped in layers, hands tucked into the sleeves of his coat. She introduced herself. "You're that reporter," he said, narrowing his eyes. "You always ask the right kind of questions." "I try," she replied. "What do you make of all this?" He didn't answer right away, then, "It happened before. I was 6, woke up and the sun was gone, just like today. Told my parents. They laughed, said I had a nightmare." "You're sure it wasn't?" He turned to her. "No one believes kids, but I remember. There was a hum, and something else. Like the air forgot how to move." Mara took out her recorder. "Can I ask you more?" "Ask away," he said. On her way back into town, Mara swung by the observatory near the ridge. Dr. Alan Hughes was already outside, peering up with a handheld scope, his posture tense. "Dr. Hughes!" Mara called out as she approached. He turned, his usually bright expression darkened with concern. "Mara, I was hoping you'd show. This is unprecedented. What is it? What's happening?" Dr. Hughes shook his head, lowering his device. "I don't know, and that's what scares me the most. Our instruments are functioning, but they're not showing anything out of the ordinary, except for the fact that the sun has simply vanished." The word vanished hung in the air between them, heavy with implications Mara couldn't yet grasp. She looked up at the sky, the stars faintly visible in the strange twilight, and felt a sense of unease settle over her. Chapter 3. Playback. Mara moved through Eldridge with the practiced eye of someone used to seeing between the lines. The town was quieter than usual, not silent, but thinner, like everything spoken came with hesitation. At the cafe, she captured hushed speculation over bitter coffee and half-eaten pie. One man was convinced it was a government experiment gone wrong. A teenager muttered something about the end times. At the library, someone mentioned solar anomalies. At the pharmacy, a clerk whispered that her clocks had been gaining seconds all week. Mara didn't press too hard. She just listened, recorded, moved on. In strange times, people offer up truth like a confession. All you had to do was be still long enough to hear it. That night, wrapped in the dim glow of her apartment, Mara sat cross-legged on her bed with her recorder in hand. The sky outside hadn't changed. Still that same dull hue, still that same uneasy stillness. Mara's recorder clicked. She didn't press anything. She hit play. "Feels like a warning," Mrs. Green's voice crackled. "Like the universe finally got tired of us meddling." Click. "Could be a geomagnetic event," Mr. Larson offered. "Or something atmospheric. A temporary shift in the Earth's rotation, maybe." Click. "Had a nightmare," said the old man. "That's what they told me. But it wasn't. There was a hum, and something else. Like the air forgot how to move." Mara paused, rewound, played it again, this time listening for something she hadn't caught before. And there it was, underneath his voice. Not just a hum, a low pulsing grind. Rhythmic, mechanical, like an engine deep underground. She turned up the volume, leaned closer. Then, faintly, buried in static, somewhere between the end of his sentence and the beginning of silence, she heard her name. Not spoken, transmitted. Chapter 4. The Clearing. Mara didn't sleep. She couldn't shake the sound from the recording. Her name hidden in static, not spoken but embedded, as if something had been listening, waiting. She got dressed in the dark, threw on her coat, grabbed her recorder, and drove. Headlights cutting through the murky stillness, tires whispering against the asphalt like they, too, were afraid to make noise. She didn't have a plan, just a direction, east of town, near the old tree line. Locals had whispered about it earlier in the day. Something humming out there, just beneath the threshold of hearing. The closer she got, the more her skin seemed to tighten, like the air was heavier, denser. She left the car at the turnout and stepped into the woods, flashlight off. The glow of the sky, still wrong, still half-night, filtered through the branches in strange, unnatural blues. No wind, no insects, just that steady hum. Like a forgotten machine powering something enormous far beneath her feet. Then she saw it, a clearing that shouldn't exist, and at its center, nestled in the tall grass like it had always been there, a sphere. Not rusted or ancient, not futuristic either. It was out of context, as if reality had coughed it up from somewhere else. It pulsed faintly, a dull white rhythm that synced disturbingly well with the beat of her own heart. Mara stepped closer. She didn't call anyone, didn't document. She just moved forward, compelled. She crouched beside it, her breath fogging in the still air. Reached out, touched it. And the world fractured. A rush of sensation, images that made no sense. Eldridge under two suns. A subway platform with no trains, just people waiting. A voice saying something she couldn't remember. A second Mara standing across from her, eyes wide with warning. She fell back, gasping. The clearing was the same, the hum still low, but she was not the same. Mara Jennings had found something real, or something had found her.
Thank you for listening to episode 1 of The Never-Ending Night. Something strange is stirring in the dark edges of Eldridge, and Mara Jennings is just beginning to understand what she's stepped into. Stay tuned. The story continues, only on EchoZone FM. You've just listened to another transmission from EchoZone FM, a brief step beyond the ordinary, into the forgotten, the forbidden, or the future. If you're still hearing us, then the signal is strong. We'll be back soon. Until then, keep your eyes open and your mind unlocked.